So this is the skirt after the print and this is before. Make your mask and then add any print on it. Alright, so let's say if I want to add a pattern on this curtain. So the first step is that you need to have a pattern on your computer, and then the second step is that you need to make a selection of this curtain. So how would you do that? You would use here the simplest tool for making selection. You would use magnetic tool and you would zoom in a bit and you will start making the selection like this. Now this is going to take a while, so I'm going to do this quickly. So now make sure you click on this option, add to selection, while using the magnetic lasso tool so that you can select the next curtain. Now obviously there are a few errors in this selection, so I'm going to fix that. For that I'm going to use a polygonal lasso tool, and it depends, I want to add to selection or subtract to selection. It depends which tool is needed. Select that one. For example, in this case, do you see this? I've missed this part. So I'm going to select add to selection and I will keep on moving my polygonal lasso around it like this. But in this case, I need to subtract to selection, right? So I'm going to select this, or you can press Alt on your keyboard, which is a shortcut like this. Also notice one thing, that you need to add pattern on the curtain fabric, not on the rods. So you need to minus or deselect the rods. So how would you do that? You would zoom into the rods like this and you would select subtract to selection. And now by using polygonal lasso tool or maybe magnetic lasso tool, depends on the situation, you can actually select the rods like this, right? But still there are a few errors. You need to fix them. For that I'm going to use a polygonal lasso tool. You also need to minus this out of your selection and you need to add this into your selection. So wherever you want to add anything to the selection, press shift on your keyboard, and whenever you want to minus something from your selection, keep pressing Alt on your keyboard. So it will take a while when you will fix this. Now I'm quickly going to do the same thing with the next curtain. I have to subtract the rod out of my selection. I'm going to simply do this by selecting subtract to selection. Alright, so now that you have completely selected your curtain properly, now is the time for the next step. The next step is that you save this selection. So you go to select, you go to save selection, and then you name anything to your selection. For example, I will write curtains and simply press OK. So the selection is saved somewhere here in the channels like this, right? This thing. Okay. So now the next step is that you need to make a mask of this curtain. For that, what you should do is that you save another document. Like I'm going to go to File, Save As, make another copy of this document, and I will rename it as mask. Save. Make sure you save PSD file of mask. Now you need to make a mask. You mean you need to get rid of the everything here except the curtain. So I'm going to press Ctrl Shift I, which is select inverse, and then simply press delete on your keyboard. So this will delete everything but curtain. What you should do now is press Ctrl D for deselect. Now we need to make a mask of this. For that, the next step is first convert this into a black and white image. So you go to adjustment, image, adjustment, and you go to hue saturation, and you move this saturation all the way back to the left. Now this is a black and white image. Okay. Just press OK. Also, one more important thing you should do is, like, you want to have maximum amount of darks and lights in these curtains, or just press Ctrl L on your keyboard. So this levels screen comes in front, right? And then what you do is that you move this here, and add maximum amounts of darks and lights in your curtain. Like this, a very contrasting image. And then press OK. After that, the next step you should do is go to filter, go to blur and Gaussian blur. So you need to blur this out. For example, I think in this case, 10 would be a good number. I'm okay with 10. And then simply press OK. After this, save this document on the same file, you renamed mask, overwrite this file, save. So once this document saves, just close it. You don't need it for now. After that, go back to your original file, that was curtain map. Open that file. Now this is the time to add the print. For example, in my case, I have this floral print which I want to add onto the curtain. So I'm going to simply drag this, drop it on my Photoshop here. And now I'm going to press Ctrl A, Ctrl C. And I'm going to paste this here on my curtain, Ctrl V. Now, obviously this print is bigger than the image itself. So I'm going to press Ctrl T, which is transform, Ctrl 0. And now I will scale it down proportionally. Also, you could reduce the opacity so that you can see your curtain through the print. So you know how big the print should be. For example, if you're happy with this scale, just press enter on your keyboard. After that, you can take the opacity back to its normal, which was 100. Now, this is the time to apply the displacement mask, okay? For that, what you need to do is go to filter, distort, displace. Now keep these same settings, horizontal scale 10, vertical scale 10, and stretch to fit, and repeat edge pixels, and then press OK. It will ask you for the mask file. So now select this mask file which we made earlier, press open, and you would see there's a slight change in the print. It has moved in a way that the bumps of the curtain, the darks and the lights, the design has moved accordingly. So now what you do is you go back to your channels and you select your curtain, and then simply press Ctrl Shift I on your keyboard to select inverse, then press delete. So the print which was not part of the curtain has deleted, and this is exactly what you wanted. Now press Ctrl D. After that, in the layer blending modes, select multiply. Okay. After selecting multiply, if you're not happy with the result, make a duplicate layer of your print. And then after making the duplicate layer, you can actually play with the opacity and fill to make it look more realistic. Right? So this is it. You've made your, you've replaced your curtain with the print you wanted, like this. So make sure you save this document, save as, and replace it or overwrite it with curtain map, the original document. Now once you've saved this, you can always add multiple prints on your curtains. Each time you have to follow the same steps. For example, you're not happy with this print, right? So get rid of these layers just by turning the eyes off. And you have another print with you, for example, this one. This is a weave design and you want to, let's say, add this onto your curtain. You just press Ctrl A, Ctrl C and you paste it here on your curtain file. Now you need to reduce its scale proportionally. So press Ctrl T, which is transform. Press Ctrl 0 and proportionally scale it down. And the same steps you need to follow, move it on top of the curtain. Now you follow the same steps which you did earlier. You go to Filter, Distort, Displace. Keep the same settings, press OK. Select the mask file which you created earlier, select Open. And the design changes itself according to the curtain's folds. Then you go to Channels, select your curtain, press Ctrl Shift I, press Delete, press Ctrl D, and now you can multiply it like you did earlier, or maybe try another option, whatever blending mode suits best as per your design and the product. In my case, I'm going to use multiply. I'm going to make another layer of it, duplicate layer. And now maybe I can change the blending mode of this layer. Let's say this one. Now you can play with the opacity. So by this method, you can add any print on your product. Now first of all, let's say if you want to add a pattern on this skirt. The first thing you should do is that make a selection of your product. In this case, we are going to make a selection of this skirt by using magnetic lasso tool. I will zoom in a bit. Right. So now if there is any error in this selection, you can fix that by using polygonal lasso, like adding it to the selection or separating it out of the selection. It depends on the situation. So when you're happy with the selection of your product, just go to Select, Save Selection and name it anything. After that, the earlier product was a curtain which was white in color. That's why my mapping or the print I was pasting on it looked very nice. So you need to convert this into white as well. For that, what you could do is go to Image, go to Adjustment and go to Hue Saturation. Let's convert this into black and white by removing the saturation all the way towards the left. Then press Ctrl L for levels. This looks a bit whitish now, which is good. Now you need to make a separate file save as by the name of mask. In this case, I'm using the rename as skirt mask. And now I will press Ctrl Shift I. Next step is Ctrl D. Now filter, blur, Gaussian blur. In this case, I think 4 is a good number. I'll press OK and then I'll save it again on the skirt mask file. I'll overwrite it. Now open the original file which was skirt mask which you saved earlier and simply drag and drop your print on it. In this case, let's say if you want this print, press Ctrl A, Ctrl C, go to your file, Ctrl V, Obviously this is way big out of proportion because of the scale. Scale it down, press Ctrl T, Ctrl 0, scale it down onto your product. You can also change its opacity to see that how it looks on your skirt and how big it should be. Let's say when you're happy with the scale, just press enter. You can convert this opacity back to normal. Now go to filter, distort, displace, press OK and select the mask, skirt mask file you created earlier. Press open. After that, you go to channels, you select your skirt by pressing Ctrl and clicking here. Then press Ctrl Shift I, delete. And now just Ctrl D and simply multiply. Now after multiplying, if you don't like the effect, you can actually switch to other effects in the blending mode and see which one looks better. Maybe you like this one. I kind of like this one, overlay. Let's say if you're not happy with its visibility, you can duplicate the layer. And you can also change its blending options. So this is the skirt after the print and this is before. So it doesn't matter whatever your product is. All you need to do is first create a mask of your product. Selection and mask are very important. So once you do that, you can make your mask and then add any print on it. So I hope you like this video. Do hit a subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.